Hello, Clearly Essential team. This is Crystal Garvin, and welcome to our monthly webinar. My goal with these webinars is always to add value to your business and cover topics that are relevant and meaningful to anyone on our team, anywhere in your business. This, I hope, will offer some guidance, encouragement, and support to you. And the topic I'm going to be covering is pretty extensive, so we'll jump right in. I'm going to be talking about placements. And this is a broad, sometimes complex topic. It would be impossible to cover every scenario that could happen, every question you may have. But I've worked hard to create a training that I think is fairly comprehensive while still being generic enough to apply to everyone. And of course, you'll need to work with your upline mentors for specific questions. But my goal really with this training was just to give you some general guidelines and tips from my personal experience with placements. So these are the things we're going to talk about with placements: the what, who, when, how, why, and where that we'll be examining when you look at where to place someone on your team and in your downline. So what is placements? Well, my mentor and sponsor and enroller, Tanya Cottrell, our Blue Diamond, told me that it's kind of like a game of chess. I never really liked chess much. I do like a lot of different games, board games, card games, different games. Chess just wasn't one of my favorites. But when I thought about it more like a giant puzzle, that kind of worked well for me. So you can think of it as something that you just know you're going to have some strategy that's going to be involved. And if you're not a big fan of chess either, then you can have that puzzle piece mentality that the pieces will fit together somehow, but you might have some that don't always fit perfectly the first time you try it. You will make mistakes, and I put that in quotation marks because I really don't think that our mistakes are really aptly called that. I think that we just do the best we can with what we know at the time, and we can't think of it as a mistake because it has a really negative connotation that we messed something up and can't fix it. If you do make a mistake, remember that it's a valuable learning experience that will serve your team members as you coach them down the road and also help you refine your placement strategies. So we always want to keep enrolling new people no matter how far along we are in the business. And that means we always have the opportunity to learn and to grow and to get better at this. And I truly believe we can work around any mistakes, and that anything that we might consider a mistake could be a blessing in disguise as well. So I'll cover the basics. Don't expect to retain it all. Much of what you'll learn about placements will come as you experience it for yourself. Just like with teaching classes, if you wait till you feel like you know everything you need to know, you'll never get started. And I recommend that you just jump in and learn some of these things as you go. So let's talk about who you're going to be able to place. That will be anyone you personally enroll. So that's pretty simple, right? And I want you to talk with those people that you enroll. Discuss using the oils. Discuss whether they're open to sharing and then open to earning income and building a business. And consider which of these categories the person in front of you may fit into now or down the road. Which one of these a person might be can certainly evolve over time. It has for many of us. But the sooner you get a feel for it, the better equipped you'll be to place them. So think about whether they are leaders, influencers, builders, or users. And consider what they say. So maybe they answer, oh, I'm not interested in network marketing at all. Or maybe they say, oh, I definitely want to build a business. Making money with doTERRA sounds awesome. But also look at who they are. So one of the things I did early on was just took everything at face value for what people said. If they said they wanted to build, I put them in a builder position. If they said they weren't sure they wanted to build but might want to share, I put them in like a sharer or even user position. If they said absolutely will never want to share or build, then I put them in a user position. But I've learned that it's really important to look at the person. So is this person already an influential part of the community, a teacher of holistic health in some setting, maybe a successful networker or business person? Is he or she well connected, competent, a great speaker, positive, a hard worker. So think about the qualities you'd want if you could handpick your dream team of builders. And even if someone says no to building at first, if you recognize some of those great qualities, it might be worth the risk of putting that person into a builder position just in case they change their mind. And on the other hand, if someone says they want to build but has never been successful in business, doesn't have many contacts or any belief in themselves, then you may want to place them under a stronger leader who can help coach and lead rather than placing them on your front line in a strong leader position. And we'll break some of that down a little bit more as we go. So let's look at what moving people might look like and the difference between enroller and sponsor. So this is you. And then let's say you launch your business and you enroll 7 people in your first month. You will be both the enroller and the sponsor for each of these people. They are all on what we call your front line at this point. But you will quickly want to have some conversations with each of them about their interest in sharing oils and building a business. Based on those conversations, let's say you identify 3 people who are committed to building a business and keeping their 100 PV LRP, and 4 people who may want to share but aren't sure, or who definitely just want to use the oils. You'll keep the 3 builders on your front line, meaning you'll continue being both the enroller and sponsor. But you'll identify where to place the other 4 people and change their sponsors in your back office, which will change their placement on your team as well. You'll still be the enroller, so you're still getting the fast start for being the enroller for all 7 of these people, all 7 wellness advocates. But you will change the sponsor and appoint someone else as the sponsor, which will move their position on what we call your graphic tree, and that's just a back office visual representation of where people are placed on your team. Something important to remember about Unilevel is you continue to get a fast start for everyone you enroll, but Unilevel is based on where they are placed, which has to do with sponsorship. Power of 3 also has to do with where they're placed. So Unilevel and Power of 3, that form of commission and bonus, are based on the placement structure of your team, whereas Fast Start only has to do with who enrolled them, regardless of where they are on your tree. So let's talk for a few minutes about wholesale customers, because this is a different group of people within that who, when we're talking about who we can move around and change the placement of on our teams. So you'll notice in these enrollee circles, I've now labeled some of them WA for Wellness Advocate and some of them WC for Wholesale Customer. We do have some different rules that apply to our wholesale customers. And if you're not completely aware of what all of those are, I encourage you to research a little bit. There are some commonly asked questions and documents about this on doTERRA's website, as well as in our Facebook group files if you're in my business group. So you can check that out and see some of the frequently asked questions about how this works, how it affects them as well as you. We will cover a little bit of that though. Just keep in mind, looking at this diagram, those with the WC cannot have a downline, so you cannot place anyone underneath them. So that is something to consider when you're looking at where to place your wholesale customers. They can affect your power of 3. Of course, their volume counts for rank. So there are some advantages that you can, if they have an LRP, that you can use to place where you need them on your team. And we'll talk about a few of the other situations that could come up with wholesale customers as well. So our wholesale customers, they can enroll for the same fee, the $35 fee, or they can get an enrollment kit that includes that. And they get the same benefit of 25% off. So it's really great for them. They also have a little more freedom in terms of what they're held to, what they can say on social media in regards to compliance, because they are not able to sell the products at all, and they can't make commission either. So they cannot earn commission is the first point here. So you want to make sure to go over that with your new enrollees when figuring out where you want to place them, but also how they want to enroll. And that's actually one of my favorite things about the wholesale customer option, because it does give you that opportunity without it feeling forced in any way to have the conversation, because they need to know their options. They need to know the differences between wholesale customer and wellness advocate, and why they might choose one over the other and what's going to be the best fit for them, which can give you a really great feel for whether or not they may share the oils or even be interested in the business at some point. Whereas before, I know sometimes it could be kind of an awkward conversation when everyone just signed up with a wholesale wellness advocate account for the most part. We did, of course, have the preferred member, but that's going away now, so we're not going to talk about that. So wholesale customers can be placed under a sponsor, so you can enroll someone as a wholesale customer and still name a different sponsor. And that would be someone different from you if you want them to be placed somewhere else on your team. However, as I mentioned, they cannot have anyone placed under them, so they cannot be the sponsor of someone else at all. So we recommend that you would find a couple of builders early on, and then you're going to have some placement options for your wholesale customers. If you just enroll a whole bunch of wholesale customers, you might find yourself frustrated that you have a lot of volume on your front line that you cannot move. And this is where a workaround may come into play, which we'll talk about later, where you may have a placeholder and just kind of hold on to that thought because it will come up again later. So identify 2 to 3 builders as early on as you can so that you do have those placement options available. And again, wholesale customers can impact your rank, your power of 3, they can have an LRP. So you have a lot of great options when it comes to wholesale customers, and it can give you a great feel for what they might want in the future, although they can, of course, change their mind. If they enroll as a wholesale customer, they may choose to upgrade to Wellness Advocate later down the road, and that is free for them to do, and it's just the click of a button in their back office, or what's really just their ordering page with mydoterra.com, because they don't have a full back office like a Wellness Advocate does until they upgrade. So they can choose to upgrade, and that's wonderful because you will have another option where you could move them if it's been more than 90 days since their initial enrollment. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And we'll talk about that with the when. So let's move on and talk about when you may want to move someone, and also when you have to move someone, because timing is pretty crucial with placements. So you can change the sponsor of your enrollee within 14 days. Your back office will count down, and it will show day 1 on the very last day that you have to move that person. So to move your enrollee, you have 14 days, and day 1 that you see displayed in your back office is your last day. Now, if a wholesale customer upgrades after they've been enrolled at least 90 days, then you as their enroller will have another 14 days to change their sponsor. So this is really great as well, because previously, of course, when everyone signed up with a wholesale wellness advocate account and everyone was all the same, considered a wellness advocate, whether or not they were selling the oils in any capacity, we didn't have the option to move them if they did decide to build a business later. Just keep in mind this 90-day rule. If someone decides after 60 days, I really want to build, I'm ready to share, let's do this, then you're going to probably just need to live with where you put them on your team in the first place. So keep that in mind when you're placing the first time around, that if this person ever decided to build, I would need to be happy with that if it's in the next 90 days at least, and make sure it's somewhere that you would be glad to support them, and that they have a sponsor and a team above them who would also be happy to support them in their journey to whatever capacity they decide to pursue using, sharing, building. So keep that in mind. However, if it has been 90 days and you don't feel that they are in the best spot on your team, either for their own support or for where you would like to have them on your team, you do have a chance to move them. You have another 14 days that will count down after they upgrade. Now, something else about this is that enrollership can be gifted up one time, and it can also be gifted back once. Gifting back would happen rarely, whereas gifting an enrollment to a sponsor may make sense in many cases at the right time. We'll talk a little more about that later in this training, But for now, let's talk about how to change the sponsors and enrollers of your personal enrollees. So mostly what you'll deal with will be changing sponsors, not enrollers. Sponsor changes you'll find in the back office. So first you're going to go to the Team tab, then look for Sponsor Changes to the left under My Business, the second from the bottom in that box. Then you'll click on Change Sponsor Placement. So I just pulled this from my back office and changed the ID numbers and names of the innocent to protect them. But this is real time what it looks like in my back office. And then, so say I picked that first one, Mary Smith. Let me go back there. I click on Change Sponsor Placement, and then this box pops up. And so it's got her ID number, her name, and I'm going to put in the new ID number for the new sponsor. So I'm going to put in the ID number of her new sponsor in that box, click Verify, and then it will come up asking me to confirm. And now Mary's sponsor will have changed. I'll still be her enroller, but her sponsor will be whoever I name on my team, depending on where I want her placed. She'll go directly under that person. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. Enrollership gifting is done through an email to your nearest account manager. So if you're not yet silver, you will need to go through a silver or above, your nearest silver or above, and they can help you with that through their account manager. It is an email to placements@doterra.com to say, I would like to gift the enrollership. I enrolled this person, but maybe, now this person's been working with them and they knew each other before, and I'd like for this person to be the enroller. Or I want to gift the enrollership because I hold enrollership of someone, but it would help the sponsor to advance in rank if I gift that enrollership. So I'd like to gift it to them. Well, placements takes a week or two. And sometimes these are time sensitive and you'll want that to be done quickly, and an account manager can help that get done much faster. So you still have to send it to placements, but then you can have your silver upline or above get involved, send it to their account manager and ask for it to be expedited. Maybe it's going to affect rank before the end of the month or something like that. But again, that's not something that you would do without really talking to your upline mentor anyway, so to make sure it's really the smartest move. So just make sure that's available, but don't plan to use it much. Now let's talk about why. Why would you change someone's sponsor? Why not just keep them all on your front line? Or why not, keep enrollership of everyone that you ever enroll? Well, first of all, you want to build leaders. And here's some qualities of good leaders as you're looking at your team members and you see that they have integrity and clear goals and they're setting a good example and casting a vision. They communicate clearly, bringing out the best in others. All of these types of things, you might want to get some help with managing your team, honestly. So you enroll maybe 80 people or 100 people, just to keep it a nice round number. And you're not physically going to be able to support all of them, especially if a lot of them want to build a business. To coach and mentor each one of them through every aspect of using oils and sharing and teaching classes and building a business. So if you have a sponsor, that person should come alongside and help to mentor and support that person. And that aspect would be helping to build support for the enrollee. And in that process, you're also helping to build up leaders. So as you recognize some of these qualities and you want to build your leaders, you may say, this builder would be a great person to sponsor my new enrollee because they're already showing these great leadership qualities, and I know they're going to offer really great support to anyone that I put under them. So those might be some reasons. And you also are going to do it, of course, to get your volume where you need it. So that's just kind of an obvious one where you're going to need volume on different legs to advance in your business. And this helps you take your own enrollees and put them in places where you need them to build volume. And we'll talk more about that as well. So let's go back to gifting enrollership, though, and look at this as an example. Get a little bit deeper into the why. So remember, that you've personally enrolled each of these wellness advocates in the purple circles, now you're going to help each of them start enrolling their own team members. And it might look something like this, with Builder 1's personal enrollees in yellow, Builder 2's enrollees in green, and Builder 3's enrollees in orange. Okay, so we're going to build on this, but we're going to focus more closely on Builder 1. And say, for example, that you are both helping Builder 1's first leg frontline leader that you enrolled, the one off to the left in the purple on that third level from you. So you're looking at right under Builder 1, the purple circle. You're both involved in helping train and lead this leg. Then Builder 1 also has 2 other personally enrolled legs on her front line, and she's helping them both to grow their volume. So those are those yellow circles under her. And then Builder 1 helps both of those legs in yellow, both of those circles, reach executive, which means they have 2,000 OV each. Since they're personally enrolled by her, she will promote to the rank of Premier as long as she also has 5,000 total organizational volume on her team. So keep in mind that reaching Premier requires 2 personally enrolled executives and a total organizational volume of 5,000. And then the OV can come from anywhere on the team. So the purple circles, which are the people you placed under Builder 1, also count toward that 5,000 volume requirement. So over time, all 3 of Builder 1's front line reach elite with 3,000 OV each. However, Builder 1 will still remain a premier because you hold the enrollment of that first elite in purple. So she has to be the enroller in order for her to advance to silver. So you may want to consider gifting that enrollment to Builder 1. That will help her promote to silver, especially if doing so will also give you 3 silvers on 3 separate legs, which would thereby promote you to platinum. However, you will definitely want to discuss this decision thoroughly with your upline mentor, who may see a broader picture of where your team is currently and where it's going. You can only gift the enrollment once, so you want to be very sure of the decision to gift at the right time for everyone. For example, I didn't draw this out, but if you look at that circle under the elite that's also enrolled by you, what if the reason that elite purple reached elite was because the person under them is building and doing a whole lot? You may actually, maybe they promote to elite at the same time. You may actually then want to consider gifting the person underneath and not that person on the front line. So again, these can get complicated, and you will want to discuss that with your mentor about which is going to be the best option if it's the right time to gift. I usually don't recommend gifting until someone has reached Premier on their own, and then potentially, gifting so that they will reach silver. But that's going to depend on a lot of different variables. There are many factors that would go into that decision. So you don't want to make it lightly, and you don't want to do something you would regret. And I did mention that you can get that gifted back to you. So for example, if you decided, let's go to the next one, you decide to gift the enrollment. You will no longer be the enroller of that first elite. The enroller will switch to Builder 1, which in this case will also promote Builder 1 from Premier to Silver. And so I changed that to yellow. And over time, if for some reason someone in this scenario quits, even a silver, that's not very common, but it could happen. So a silver quits doing the business for some reason, and you want that builder that you gifted, that first elite, maybe that person has now advanced to silver and they're doing well in their business, and you want that enrollership back. That silver and the purple can gift the person you gifted to her back to you. So it can be gifted once, and then it can be gifted back once. But they have to be willing to do that. That has to come from them as a request from them. So you may run into various questions and scenarios around changing sponsors and enrollers. Again, this is a generic type of example. I don't want to confuse you further. So your specific situation just may require more input as you go along. So let's talk about where. One of the most perplexing questions builders have is where in the world to place people as they continue to enroll. I do not have a cut and dried answer for you because the variables will be so different with every single person and situation. but we can look at a few general rules of thumb. Generally, you want to keep those who emerge as stronger builders on your first or second level. Again, you only have 14 days to determine that, so you can't do this perfectly every time. If you're fairly certain that someone is a user or consumer, you may want to place on your third or fourth level. I don't usually recommend placing lower than your fourth level because I've seen too many consumers turn into sharers and builders later on. And you will find that you'd rather have a personally enrolled builder within your first few levels to get the most benefits from their activity and volume, especially as it pertains to unilevel commission, since you earn unilevel 7 levels deep. It can be frustrating to have a personally enrolled builder on your 5th level, for example, and realize that you will only earn unilevel from that person's first 2 levels, since unilevel goes 7 deep for you. I won't get into all the nuances of dynamic compression and qualifiers here, but I did want to explain a bit of the thought process behind not placing lower than about your 4th level. You also want to consider different schools of thought. Neither is bad, but I think building toward rank tends to be more predictable and reliable. However, those who build toward their power of 3 bonus usually find that rank follows doing so. So I recommend that casual sharers focus on their power of 3. That can help them make up the cost of their oils between their $50 bonus and their fast start. If that's what they wanted out of it, great. If they want something more beyond that, you can help them with that at that time. If someone starts out as a more serious builder, I recommend focusing on 3 legs and building 2 legs to executive quickly, so the builder promotes to premier and can be on their way to silver. There isn't a wrong way, building to rank or building to power of 3, and I think keeping an eye on both is really the smartest way to go. In this example, so you can see the builders were placed on level 1 or 2, users were placed on level 3 or 4. We have now more than the 7 original purple circles on this graphic because you're going to continue enrolling and placing on a regular basis. I usually recommend keeping placements within your first 3 legs until you reach at least silver. But again, you'll want to ask your mentor's advice. If you happen to find a solid builder who's someone you'd love to have on your front line, you and your mentor may agree it's worth starting a 4th leg even though you may not have yet reached silver with your original 3 legs. Having a 4th leg a little early can actually be a really nice backup in case your power of 3 isn't quite solid with those first 3 legs, or if one of your original builders isn't growing as quickly. However, having a 4th leg can also mean you feel a little overextended in the amount of team support you personally need to provide, so it's important to weigh out those pros and cons. In strategizing where to place, keeping the power of 3 and your rank in mind, again, can help narrow down the best positions for your new enrollees. And there may be times when you realize, oh, if I move this person here, it will help with rank, but if I move them here, it will help with power of 3. Which one is more important? Which will add more value to the team overall? Which one will, help me better? Which one will help the new person better? We'll look at some of those questions you might ask. There are some important questions I recommend really analyzing when you're considering where to place people. First, where will this person grow best? This is ultimately the most important question. So, what is the best place for this person to be? And that could have something to do with their geography, their family, their friendship relationships, what kind of a personality they have. A lot of different factors could come into play on where this person will be the best fit or where they will grow the best. Where will this person be best supported? So consider that. You want to place people, if possible, where they're going to get an additional layer of support. Again, so you're not overextending yourself and spreading yourself too thin with supporting too many people. Who will support this person primarily? So if you're looking at this and you're thinking, I've got my 3 legs, I'm on my way to silver, I really just want to solidify those 3 legs and get to silver. And then you enroll someone, maybe it's your best friend or your sister, and you realize that person's never going to go to anyone else for support. Even if I put her under a great leader, I'm always going to be her support person. She's always going to come to me. Are you okay with that if you place her under someone else and she's still always going to come to you directly? If so, fine. Maybe that's a great idea to place somewhere within your organization. But if that person happens to be ready to start building and is very serious about building and showing all the right signs, making their 100 names list, scheduling their first 4 launch classes, inviting, talking to people all within their first 14 days. You may have a really strong builder on your hands, and you may realize, you know what, I'm going to support this person primarily no matter where I put them, and I might as well have another leg and go ahead and start that. That's something that I wish I had considered earlier on when I was placing people, when I was working toward silver, that it wouldn't have been a bad idea to place some of those strong emerging builders just on my front line instead of trying to just narrow my focus so much down to silver that I had blinders on and didn't see past that. Finally, where can this person help me grow? That should be the last question you ask. It's an important question, and it's okay. It doesn't mean you're selfish if you're asking, where will this person's placement help me grow? As long as you've answered the other questions first. So again, keeping as your primary objective to get this person placed where they will best be supported and have the best opportunity for growth if that's what they want. And so, that might be, again, looking at personalities and backgrounds and geography. All types of things can come into play. Before you decide where to place, have conversations with the enrollee and with the potential sponsor. So it is okay to say, you know what, I've got this person to place. She's geographically close to 2 of my builders. She doesn't know either one of them. I don't think she's going to be a strong frontline builder, maybe a casual sharer, continue to order. So I want to make sure she's taken care of well. And I want to see if I should place her under builder 1 or builder 2. It's okay to talk with them both and say, you know what, I've got someone to place, and kind of make it almost like an interview. Let me tell you about her. Let me find out what you think. I'm going to also talk to someone else about placing them under her. I'm not sure which place I'm going to decide to put her, but I wanted to talk to you about it. You might find out that she actually knows one of those people, or has a family connection, or has something in common with one of your builders that would be a really cool way to match them up. And so having those conversations, it might sound kind of awkward, but it's okay. If you end up saying, you know what, builder 1, I decided she'd be a better fit with builder 2. That person may be disappointed, maybe they were hopeful, but if you go into the conversation saying, I'm not sure yet, I'm just checking out a couple of different places, it's okay to do that. I haven't done that often, but that is something that you could consider if you're not sure and you're just going back and forth and really having a tough time deciding. And chances are you may place someone on builder 2's leg eventually anyway, even if it's not that person you're talking to them about. So just helping them to see as well, being a good example of, I want to make sure to get these people placed where they'll grow and be supported the best. And you may also want to have a conversation with the enrollee, especially if they're a builder. If they're just going to use oils, I would say it's premature to say, hey, I'm trying to decide where to place you. And they're going to look at you like you have 2 heads. What in the world are you talking about? I don't care. I don't know. I just want to use oils. But if they're going to share and possibly build, you may want to say, hey, I want to place you on my team somewhere where you're going to get great support. Let me tell you about a couple of different positions, almost like an interview. I have these positions open and for a sharer / builder, and what do you think? And maybe they'll have a preference. So it's okay to do that if you need some extra input. You will also, of course, like I already said, want to look at relationships and geography. That should be of utmost importance. If there's already a friendship, a family connection, if they live near each other, that obviously would be a good fit for placements. Avoid charity cases. So I would say really stay away from the scenario where you enroll your sister or your mom and then start building under them and build their whole team and support their entire team just so that you can help your sister pay for college or help your mom in her retirement. It's going to be frustrating. I will just tell you, you'll wish you had placed under someone who's actually building and supporting at some level and supporting the people you placed under them. And you'll be doing the work of 2 people by having to coach and train and support the entire team under that person, along with the rest of your team. And as it grows, you really want strong leaders. I will tell you also, it creates resentment when someone is just sitting back collecting a check and people under them are working. We don't want that kind of culture. It does happen, not on purpose, but sometimes not by any intention of our own. Someone says they want to build and we place people under them and then they don't build and they won't move. And They're not going to go inactive, so they just sit there and they collect a check, and that can really grow over time. So consider when you're putting people on your front line, that's $1 million real estate. Those are really valuable positions. And, interviewing someone to make sure that they will be a good fit for that position is not a bad idea. But certainly putting someone in just as a charity case, that's going to mess up your power of three if they're not doing anything else. And you're going to be having to look at, do I gift to this person even though they're not supporting their team, or do I keep the enrollership and hold myself back from being able to rank advance? And then again, you'll be hearing from that team underneath that they have some resentment issues because someone above them that never supports them, never talks to them, never helps them in their business is making money off of them. And no one likes how that feels, except for the person making the money. So avoid those charity cases. It might sound like a really benevolent, great thing to do, to put someone there so that they can earn some income and be blessed, but it ends up really not being a blessing. If you want to bless someone that way, I would say just grow your business as well as you can with great, strong leaders. You'll make more income that way. Because truly, when you put someone in a position, or someone's in a position where they're making a good bit of money and not doing anything, that's really taking away from what you could be earning if you had a strong leader in that position. And that can represent a lot of income lost on your part, where you could be making 3, 4, 10 times as much as that person in that, we'll say, charity position if you had built differently. And you could just turn around and bless them if you wanted to, rather than letting them take commission that's really affecting your ability to earn more from the work being done on that leg as well. So just that, I don't want to explain all the scenarios with that, just take my word on it. And then finally, consult your upline as well. So that's always smart, especially when you're newer into placements and building. You may want to check with your upline on their opinion for every person you place for a little while. Over time, it should become second nature, but there will always be those cases where you're just not sure and you need to bounce it off someone, and your upline's happy to talk through that with you and look at different scenarios and maybe give you a perspective you hadn't considered on what would be the best way to place. All right, now let's talk about workarounds. So there are some workarounds, and I found some funny images to go with this. So these are really creative workarounds, right? And sometimes we have to get creative with placements in order to move forward the way we want to in our business. First of all, you can have a placeholder. You could put someone you trust. Now this is different from a charity case, putting someone you trust, like your mom, just to hold that place. And you're placing her 100 PVLRP for her, or maybe she's placing it because she wants the products, but she knows she's not going to build. There's a mutual understanding that as soon as you can find someone who's truly going to lead and build, then you can transfer them into her spot. So it just gives you a place to start building until you can find a true builder to put in her spot and move her out. Once someone has not ordered for 6 months, they can request to change their sponsor and or enroller, meaning you do have another chance to help them move to a better position on your team if they haven't ordered for 6 months. So if you have someone that you placed and they haven't ordered for 6 months and you thought they were going to be a builder and they dropped their LRP and they're maybe in a power of 3 position, you would like to move them somewhere farther down where they're just in a user position, and it's not going to affect your power of 3, but when they do order once in a while, it will help give volume on that leg. Then you can ask them to send in an email just to change their sponsor, and you could remain the enroller. And that has to be the email address that's on file in the back office so that corporate can verify the request is coming directly from that person, not from you as the enroller or would-be sponsor or what have you. So that is an option within active members. You can also transfer a brand new person who has never had a wellness advocate position, never had a member ID number, any of that, if someone's wanting to give up their position. This may happen if you had a placeholder, like your mom, in that spot, and now you found a true builder who's ready to lead and you want to transfer that builder into your mom's spot, for example. Or if someone started out saying they wanted to build a business but then changed their mind, and you find someone who's really ready to go and take over and build and lead, then that might be another case where you want to do a transfer. You may have done some building and structuring under that person, and you can look for a new person to transfer into the spot, keeping the structure the same and giving a new builder the opportunity to come into a position where some structure and team volume already exist. So that's really great for that new person coming in. And a lot of people, when they do that, will have a contract to just really lay out in plain and simple terms, this is what's expected of you if you transfer into this position. It's a really valuable position. Some people will interview for it, talk to different people, and then make their decision based on who is willing to sign that contract to do a certain number of classes and keep their LRP, and just whatever you might want to include in that. Your upline may have an example of such a contract if you would like to see it. I think it's smart to interview for that if you are looking to transfer someone in, and then also to consider having some kind of contract they sign so they know what's expected of them for being given that gift of that team structure already in place under them. And then finally, we have move exceptions. I hesitated to include this because I know move exceptions are just what they sound like. They are exceptions. doTERRA is unique amongst network marketing companies in that we do have an exceptions committee that will review and consider special placement requests that fall outside of normal policies. If it has been longer than 14 days and you wish to move someone, you may be able to move just that person, or you may be able to move that entire person's team with them. But just keep in mind that most move exception requests are denied. The committee will not even consider moving someone whose team volume exceeds 1,000 OV. They will not approve a move that automatically increases anyone's rank or gives anyone the power of 3 bonus. So the move must be in the best interest of the person being moved. A few that I've seen approved involve moving a mother who was on one leg and then moving her under her daughter who perhaps originally didn't want to build a business but now has decided to build, or maybe moving someone who lived in a particular town under a builder in the same town who's already successful and offering regular classes that could help the person who's being moved. So doTERRA tends to look more favorably on move exception requests involving keeping family members or maybe friends together, or ones that help people who are located geographically close to each other so they can work together with mutual benefit. I've seen far more move exception requests denied than approved. So I encourage people to really consider and talk with your upline about this. It may be worth a shot, but do not bank on getting approved. I actually never even heard of move exceptions until I was already a diamond. And this was good and bad for me because if I had known, I may have been able to get some exceptions approved earlier on when it could have benefited some of my enrollees. But at the same time, not knowing kept me in the mindset of helping people bloom where they were planted without looking back. So keep that in mind. It is an exception. Don't overuse or abuse this, and be prepared to be disappointed. They may not approve it. They most likely won't. They have to take into consideration a lot of different factors on if it's going to affect someone's income greatly, and if that puts the company at risk of being sued, for example, for taking income away from someone, even though they signed the paper. It is also quite a process. You have to get 7 upline signatures, the 3 on the enrollment side. So your enroller, or the person who's being moved actually, their enroller, and that enroller's enroller, and that enroller's enroller, and then 7 people on the placement sponsor side, because it does affect income for all of them if you're moving them outside their unilevel pay. So 7 people on the sponsorship side also have to sign, and you have to write a paragraph explaining why you want to do the move, and get all of those signatures. We usually use DocuSign to get those signatures electronically. You can get them on paper as well, but they do make it purposely a little difficult, not just because they want it to be hard, but because this is something that most companies don't do, and they have to be very sure and careful that it's really in the best interests of everyone involved and that it won't hurt financially or in any other way any person who's involved. So they review these usually just once a month. So you'll have that one time per month chance. Again, I thought about not including this because it's fairly involved and complicated and they don't get approved often, but I know a lot of people have already heard about this potential for moving someone after their 14 days. So I wanted to at least touch on it. All right, let's go back to, and then also, sorry, there's one more. You can qualify for rank from an enrollee on a lower level, not on your front line, but still your enrollee. So actually, let's look at a diagram that will help spell that out. So let's say you have 2 people. You got builder 1 and builder 3 who have reached silver with their personally enrolled elites on their front line there in this example. However, builder 2 isn't growing as quickly, or maybe is really more of a casual sharer. Meanwhile, the second leg under builder 2, which is still your enrollee, has become a strong builder and advances to silver. Because you still hold the enrollment, you can qualify for platinum, that's your 3 silvers, from this builder on level 2. It does not have to be on your front line. So that silver in the black lettering, that would still qualify you. That's still your enrollee, still your silver. So you do have the 3 silvers in this scenario. So just as a side note, your rank qualifiers do not need to be on, your rank qualifiers do need to be on separate legs. For example, if you have 2 separate personal enrollees on your 3rd leg who both advance to silver, you still just have 1 silver leg because they're on the same downline leg. The 2nd silver on leg 3 would not count as your 4th silver and advance you to diamond, for example. So your 4th silver for diamond would need to be somewhere on a 4th totally separate leg. In this example, your platinum rank qualifier on leg 3 would automatically be the person closest to you on your tree, or the silver on your front line. The silver on your 3rd level would be a backup qualifier in case your first qualifier didn't hit silver 1 month. So it can be nice to have a backup. Of course, it would be nicer to have that person on a 4th leg and be able to get to diamond. I have several situations where I've stacked people and they've advanced farther than I thought they ever would because they decided to build later on in the game. And I'd have a much better structure and be farther along in my business if I had not stacked so many people in certain places. However, I want to reiterate right here, because some of you may have done this as well, that it doesn't matter because I still got to diamond anyway, and doTERRA's compensation is so very generous that it blows away all of the competition. And my other network marketing business that I did before doTERRA, if I had the same number of people and the same amount of volume, I'd be making about a quarter what I make with doTERRA for the same volume and number of people. So when I look at my structure and think, oh, I wish I'd done this and then I would be at this rank or whatever, I kick myself and say, stop it, because doTERRA is so generous. The compensation plan is so amazing that I'm doing really, really well, even with what some might consider placement mistakes. You can't know everything in 14 days. You will have those same situations, but the company is very generous. We get such a great compensation. And truly, if they allowed us to continue moving everyone we wanted, so let's say in this situation, oh, I'm just going to move that silver out from under that orange circle, so now I'm diamond. For one thing, the company would go broke because they would be paying you the maximum amount, and that would mean they were paying everyone the maximum amount. They would also be taking income away from that person in the orange circle, and they're not allowed to do that by FTC standards and regulations. They have to be very careful that they don't take income opportunity away from anyone who is not willing to have that taken away from them. All right, so maybe you're thinking my team is a mess. Before you say that, I just want to tell you a few things about it. Live and learn. As you live and learn through this, it will help you to coach others. You're going to have to let some things go. Use your experience and what you've learned to train your team members. So maybe you've made a mistake and you're going to make sure they don't make that same mistake if you can help it. And then reach your goals anyway. Just decide you're going to do this anyway. Most likely, you're going to have to accept it. You'll find dwelling on your own mistakes or the activity or inactivity of others will only result in frustration and resentment, which doesn't serve anyone well. So decide to make the best of it. Embrace the beautiful mess, or you'll never be able to reach your full potential or help anyone else reach theirs. Do not make promises you may not be able to keep. Don't tell someone, oh, if you do this, then I'll put this person under you and eventually I'll gift them to you and you'll rank advance, blah, 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 because that may not be the case depending on a lot of different factors. Do not give away enrollership too easily. You want to hang on to that until you're sure the time is right. Don't put all of your eggs in one basket. So again, it's good to diversify in finances. It's good to diversify with where you're placing as well. Do not give in to discouragement or resentment over placements that will hold you back. So don't let the past do that to you. Don't be held back by the past. Move forward, find new people, continue going onward and upward. And do not stop believing in yourself and your dreams. Keep your why at the forefront all the time. Don't let anything hold you back. Little obstacles can be just that, very little and small, unless you make them bigger and let them hold you back. So some things I want to encourage you to do: build your belief. Go to seminars, read good books, listen to podcasts, watch webinars. You're doing that right now. But whatever you can do to build your belief. Dream big. If you're already thinking, you might as well think big, right? Work hard. Hard work is going to beat talent. So if you work hard, you can overcome any obstacle, any weakness, anything that you don't think you're enough of to do this business. Just work hard and you can overcome that, and you can become what you want to be. And you can get to diamond anyway. That's what I always tell people. I have all these crazy messes on my structure and I got to diamond anyway, and you can too. And just keep swimming. I hope this has helped you. I hope that you will ask questions that you may have regarding placement still. And I look forward to hearing how you overcome and rise above and learn to place better and smarter and help coach your team better because of the things that you may have thought were mistakes, and how sometimes those mistakes can be blessings in disguise. Maybe you're really new and this is just helping you to think through some possibilities. Again, you may not retain all of it until it's actually something you need to know for your own team, but you can refer back to this. Thanks for your time.